And just like that, we're back at it again. In this situation, you have a horrible craving for off-the-bone meat, but you've also accepted the fact that you can't afford off-the-bone prices. As such, you're unfortunately condemned to the understudy of all ribs, the St. Louis cut. This cut is made up of the lower section of ribs. That means it contains both more cartilage and less meat. But it's also $7, so you work with what you have. Now, the first thing is to drain the horrible saltwater liquid that they use to preserve it. One, because in my mind it dilutes the flavor of whatever you're trying to impart on it, and two, I'll be real, draining it in my mind just keeps it from getting too soupy whenever you're cooking it. Now, another horrible thing that the St. Louis cut reflects is also the fact that you're in a position in your life where you not only do not have a smoker, but you're also not willing to spend the $12 for a bottle of liquid smoke to compensate for that. But that is neither here nor there. In this situation, we will simply be using whatever your favorite barbecue dry rub happens to be, and whatever your favorite barbecue sauce happens to be. Those are the only two things you really need. Now, as I was saying, there's less meat and a lot more cartilage. And you also have this weird flap that I've never quite gotten an explanation for, but nonetheless it's there and it's extra meat, so I can't particularly be upset. Now, the reality of cooking ribs in the oven is very simple. Unless you can somehow work a miracle, you're never going to get that true smoked barbecue flavor. That's just not how this game plays for you. But what you can do is manage to either pull this or cut it into segments and produce some decent meals. And it helps take the edge off. Sort of like how a bag of freezer nuggies will always take the edge off your desperation for fast food that you know you can't afford. Right, and we're going to season both sides just to make sure we get enough salt on there. We're also going to get the weird flap covered. Now, one thing about St. Louis ribs that is, I would say, both good and evil, apart from the price, is the fact that with St. Louis ribs, they're thin enough that you can have them cooked in 3 hours easily. If these were baby back, you would have to be a little bit more careful. One of the issue of having all those bones and cartilage as well is, while it makes the entire cleaning process of the finished product a lot more annoying, it does impart a lot of good flavor. So, you take your pros and your cons. Now we're just going to do 2 lines of whatever your preferred barbecue sauce is and make that happen. One thing I want you to be aware of with this is when you're wrapping it in foil like this, whatever moisture you put in here is all the moisture this is going to get for the entire cooking process. So be a little bit careful about that. Because unfortunately, there's a few things in this world worse than dry ribs. So just rub that in there like lotion. Have that ready. Now, during this cleaning process, you're going to want to have your oven preheating to 275. It's going to take about 3 hours, so not particularly complicated. And if all goes well, you can have yourself a decent meal within 4 hours. That's including cooling time. Now, we're going to take a nice long piece of aluminum foil here, enough that we can cover up the entire deal and seal it in as best we can. Come on, get off, you darn thing. All right, there we go. All right, now let's tuck in the ribs. You're going to want to get it nice and tight. You're going to want the aluminum foil as close to it as possible, and you're going to make sure that as little of it escapes as humanly possible. One thing that's also nice, if you're demanded to bring something somewhere, this is also a great way to do it. Just leave it in the foil and serve it the way you want when you get there. Yep, folded that the wrong way. Yep, just hold that in, crimp it as much as you can, and that'll lock in moisture, that'll lock in heat, and this effectively does what a crock pot would do, just a little bit more conveniently. More importantly, this is also way easier to clean than cooking with a crock pot. So, we have it on our cookie sheet, and it's ready to go. And now, we wait. All right, waiting time over. Let's see how this bad boy turned out. All right, and we're going to peel it open. And okay, it's cooked all the way through at the very least. The steam says as much. Now, the easiest way to tell that ribs are truly easy is you just yank a bone out. All right, pulled clean from the meat. Another easy way to tell that you've gotten all the flavor out of the bones is just to snap them. Yep, all right, so we've gotten all the off-the-bone flavor we can out of this. Now, you can cut it into segments, or you can simply just take it as is. Transparently speaking, when it comes to St. Louis cuts, with all the cartilage that's at the bottom of it, I would just say pull it. Because you take that meat, you put that bad boy on a bagel with some pickles and some barbecue sauce, and you got yourself a great meal. Anywho, I thank you all for choosing to spend a little bit of time with you. And all in all, not a bad recipe. Anywho, good day.